Today's edition of Climate Change and Society is Caution Extreme Heat Danger. We're looking at heat waves and its impacts on California. Heat waves are prolonged periods of abnormally hot weather. They started to increase towards the end of the 20th century. They trigger social disturbance, and the effects such as heat-related morbidity and mortality can be catastrophic. Climate change has the capacity to increase frequency, intensity, and duration of heat waves. Heat waves in California tend to be dry and tolerable, yet have had an increasing trend since 1980. Humidity makes extreme heat more difficult for humans and affects their body's ability to cool off. And they're caused by high atmospheric pressure in the Great Plains and low pressure off California's coast, bringing in warm air from the south. The heat wave in 2006 had an unprecedented impact on human health. Plants and animals had difficulty acclimating, and this heat wave killed more than 600,000 directly by hyperthermia and resulted in over 1,200 hospitalizations and 16,000 ER visits. Heat waves put stress on resources such as water and energy and can lead to an increase in wildfires. And it doesn't help vineyards and the growth of grapes within Napa Valley. So what's its impact on California society? Affluent neighborhoods tend to have lower death rates, and poorest areas, or those of lower socioeconomic status, tend to have higher death rates, mostly due to lack of resources. Within racial groups, mortality occurs more among African Americans. Heat waves can impact thermoregulatory capacity, access to medical care, ability for physical activity, and availability of air conditioning. Neighborhood conditions like high settlement density, sparse vegetation, and lack of open space contribute to heat stress. Climate change and heat waves make certain social groups more vulnerable than others and threaten people's livelihoods. Has there been any social control on the matter? The California Sustainable Communities and Climate Protection Act, Senate Bill 375, was passed to influence regions to lower greenhouse gas emissions. It also aimed to reduce vehicle miles traveled and lessen the impact of heat waves. With enforcement, it has the potential to impact population health and health inequities. Social isolation is associated with increased risk of heat-related illness and death. It includes lack of access to media, lack of social ties and community networks, limited language skills, or living situations. Extreme heat exacerbates social isolation, with vulnerable people staying indoors, avoiding outings, which can disrupt social organization and institution and its associated change efforts due to the separation. So can you have social control with a lack of social organization? How can we enforce the Senate Bill 375 when there's social isolation? How do you help groups who are most vulnerable to these weather events? To put in perspective, imagine walking outside and it's 100+ degrees. You're in shorts and a t-shirt and sandals. You're inhaling and exhaling hot air, and you have difficulty breathing. You're sweating through your clothes, but you're barely moving. Are you comfortable? Think about going days with that heat. What if you knew there was something you could do? Would you do it? To prevent heat waves and climate change, we can work to decrease greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide and methane, which contribute to the world getting warmer. We can look at renewable energy sources to decrease the burning of fossil fuels, look at transportation options such as public transportation, invest in high-efficiency appliances, and conserve water and energy. Together, we can mitigate climate change and the extreme heat danger. Talk to you next time on Climate Change and Society.